see what I can find.
Indeed.
Leeft aus die Lade. Ihr Lieben.
I'm here.
Attack!
Dead on!
Charge!
I have them!
Yes?
And what does the flame reveal?
Of course. Let's see what we found. Yes?
Attack!
Dead on!
Please help me here! Yes?
Can't get a good shot with this.
That's it!
I'm here.
Charge!
Of course.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
I'm here.
Philophily.
That's not helpful.
Yes?
Yes?
Dead on.
Roll up 10!
Leave it to me! Parathis! You're not getting through me.
Attack! Onward! Let's keep quiet.
Slow and silent.
Yes? Yes?
Laying low.
Following your lead.
I'm here.
Following your lead.
Ready, Watcher.
Yes?
I'm here.
Can't get a good shot with this.
I have them!
Kinda stuck over here.
Yes?
I'm here.
Dead on!
Roll Act 10!
Yes?
Hey.
I'm here. I'm here.
Dead on! Ready, Watcher. Ready, Watcher. I'll take a look.
Indeed. I shall. Let's see what we found. Yes?
Walls need some... Ready, Watcher.
I'm here.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
Tell me what you saw. It is the light of the Godhammer you saw. It was a weapon of Deerwood's people, a symbol of their independence. It saved the Deerwood. It brought the Saints' War to an end, knocked a god from his perch. There are few that would deny Eothas overstepped. The Godhammer reminded Eothas of it. You saw its light because I helped shape it, give it life, and release it into the world. Once seen, its glory is almost too bright to be believed, and too bright to be forgotten. There were 12 of us. We fashioned the weapon, drafted plans for it, prayed for guidance at Ashfall, and it came to me there. Each of us were given a staff made from the forest of black trees around us, glowing with embers and fire far greater than this branch you see now. It felt as if the staff was Margaren's own finger, guiding my hand, guiding the other 11, the shadows of the 12 who had come to stand on the bridge to stop Eothas. Even in that stand, there was a ritual to it. For the 12 that stood on the bridge, there were a dozen shadows cast, a dozen faithful of Margaren, her fiercest supporters and shapers of the Godhammer. As 12 held Eothas fast, we 12 unleashed our prayers and let the Godhammer fall. Shadows cast by the fire of the Godhammer, perhaps. And we shared their fate as well in time. Now the spine of the Deerwood is marked by the Godhammer, marked by Margaren. Not all deaths come with stilled breath and stilled heart, or other stilled passions beneath the waste. Some deaths come from silence. The connection we once shared with Margaren, after the light of the Godhammer, it was not the same. It was as if we'd lost our senses, and sense of purpose as well. Instead of victory, being welcomed, there was silence, within and without. Not many can claim to have killed a god. It is less a heroic tale than you would think. And such a death, it changed our faith. All faiths, I expect. Doubt followed, and the world changed. I do not believe Margaren was pleased by what we had done. The world is broken, the wheel stilled. There is sickness in the world's heart, perhaps the price of crossing a god. crossing 2 guards. Even as Margaret shaped our hands, perhaps we carried her will farther than was allowed, just as Widewind did. Saint Widewind. Mortal arrogance to match mortal arrogance. Yet if the world had changed, then I sought to change with it. If I had forgotten some of Margaret's teachings, I would find them again. I would make her see me again. I remembered Margaret's teachings, how reminders on the flesh were more important than the death of a vessel, and I wondered if killing Aethys, if that had simply set him free. Had it allowed him to escape his punishment and be taken on the wheel, like a mortal? As I stepped from the now-blessed Godhammer Bridge, I thought of Ashfall. I thought of the War of Black Trees, wondered if I needed to be burned to find myself again. That is Margaret at her heart. At least that is my hope. These are the doubts that befall me. The road to Ashfall is long, gives one time to think, and if you think long enough, you do not go home. I left without telling anyone, with only the robes I wore at Halgot, my staff, and my name, which is long buried. Of my fellow 11 craftsmen, disciples, I know not what happened to them, if they suffered the same doubt as I did. But it was underserved. It was wrong. We had done all that Or had asked. Grab victory from defeat and there is something about being used and cast aside. Perhaps Widewen himself felt it. There at the end, when the hammer struck. To be the proof that your god is hollow as the vessel it inhabits. I tried to find purpose, and avoided all contact with other Magranic priests, did not seek the walls of Ashfall, and sought to make amends to my god through actions. I joined with the Purges for a time, and not long after came the first signs of the Hollowborn. So many crimes, trespasses, violations. The Salvation. Animancers were another sickness born of the Saints' War. A relapse of innovation, of desperation to heal what we had caused. All seemed worse than before the bridge, not better. And as years passed, the world became even worse still for the victory. Worship the whims of some fickle bitch, and you'll never be more than dirt beneath her feet. Worship what she worships, on the other hand. Take her fire for your own, and her esteem comes on its own. Of course, by that time you no longer need it. Trial and transformation, sure as Durance taught. You think to put the coals to my feet, but what's burned once will never burn again. These talks are your trial, Watcher. You cannot deflect the truth to one who has already been purified by it. We put much of ourselves into the Godhammer. Such a device is not simply a machine. There are elements of the spirit in it, even Widewind's spirit. Each of the 12 who brought the Godhammer forth would have done anything to save the Deerwood, save its people. It is why we were chosen. Each of us hated this pretender. That rage, that spirit, that rebellion went into our work, and went into studying him as well. We all studied Widewind. He was our enemy, and he had provided the flesh the god wore as a cloak. That flesh made him vulnerable. I knew what fields his hands had tilled, his family, what he had harvested, where he had been born. We sought to know him, what had led him to fight us. You don't kill the god, you kill the man it inhabits, and you leave that man a ruin, burn him to ash. The weapon was meant to not only burn his flesh, but it would burn his soul, and it did, at the cost of our own, and at the cost of our goddess's favor. That whore be damned. If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger, made me re-examine the teachings of Margren, put them in a new light. I do not need you to cast any more questions on me, Watcher. Nor did...
Yes?